President Trump is warning House Republicans, quote, they wouldn't be a Republican much longer if they do not support a budget bill. And due to cuts, some National Weather Service offices have had to suspend staffing their overnight shifts. Good morning. I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. House Republican leaders are still working to finalize their massive tax and border protection bill. That's a day after President Trump visited Capitol Hill to rally support for it. NPR's Deirdre Walsh reports GOP holdouts say they won't vote for the bill without changes.
President Trump stressed that his party was unified and warned those who didn't back the package risked a major tax increase.
I mean, what Republican could vote for that to happen? Because there wouldn't be a Republican much longer. They would be knocked out so fast.
But House Speaker Mike Johnson is still balancing a push from moderates to increase a tax break for constituents who live in districts with high state and local taxes, with demands from conservatives to slash federal spending. He can only afford to lose 3 votes and get it through the chamber. The committee that sets rules for floor debate is still meeting, and there are no details on a deal yet. Even if the House passes the bill this week, Senate GOP leaders say they expect to make changes to it. Deirdre Walsh, NPR News, the Capitol.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has come under criticism during a Senate Homeland Security Committee hearing yesterday. She was there to discuss her agency's budget, but Noem blundered in one answer. New Hampshire Democratic Senator Maggie Hassan asked Noem to define habeas corpus, a key constitutional right. Noem incorrectly replied.
Habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right to.
Let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
President Lincoln used it.
Excuse me. Habeas corpus is the legal principle that requires that the government provide a public reason for detaining and imprisoning people. If not for that protection, the government could simply arrest people, including American citizens, and hold them indefinitely for no reason.
Noem then said she supported habeas corpus, but insisted the president can suspend it whenever he wants. Senator Hassan said not without approval from Congress. A federal judge held a hearing late yesterday on a case involving the federal government's deportation of migrants. This time, the case involves migrants from one country who came to the U.S. illegally but are deported to a third country that's not their own. NPR's Jimena Bustillo explains.
Massachusetts federal judge Brian Murphy held an emergency hearing on Tuesday night over these third country deportations, this time to South Sudan. Immigration lawyers say at least one Vietnamese man was sent to South Sudan in Africa despite political instability there. Murphy said if that were true, then this would violate his April order, which barred deportations to these countries where migrants aren't originally from, unless people get sufficient time to contest their deportations, and a notice in their native language. The federal judge ordered the Department of Homeland Security to keep in its custody any migrants deported to South Sudan until he ensures they receive sufficient due process before their removals. Jimena Bustillo, NPR News, Washington.
Israel continues to hit Gaza with deadly airstrikes. The Gaza Health Ministry says at least 85 Palestinians have been killed overnight. Israel says it has allowed aid to enter the Palestinian enclave. But NPR's Hadil Al-Shalchi reports the United Nations says none of that aid has reached any of the Palestinians in need.
After much international pressure, Israel said it allowed a, quote, minimal amount of aid into Gaza after a nearly 3-month blockade on all food, medicine, and fuel. The United Nations said the aid has entered Gaza, but that workers weren't able to bring it to distribution warehouses. It said the Israeli military forced them to reload the aid into separate trucks, and they ran out of time. And they say the amount of aid getting in is wholly inadequate. Aid organizations say that 2 million Palestinians in Gaza are at a high risk of famine. Ceasefire talks are at an impasse. Hamas wants a complete end to the war. Israel will only commit to a temporary ceasefire. Hadil Al-Shalchi, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
President Trump says the U.S. is going to start work on a new missile defense shield. He's calling it the Golden Dome.
Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space.
Trump claims the project will cost around $175 billion and can be finished in 3 years. Experts say that's unlikely. They doubt it will be limited to that price. The Congressional Budget Office estimates a missile shield program for the U.S. could cost at a minimum $500 billion. Some offices of the National Weather Service are cutting back their 24-hour shifts. That's because of understaffing. The Mountain West News Bureau's Hannah Mersbach reports.
Offices in Alaska, California, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, and Wyoming are shutting down from 11 at night to 6 in the morning. That's because staff is down by up to 60% in those offices due to federal cuts. The Weather Service Union's Tom Fahey says nearby offices could help pick up the slack.
The Weather Service at this particular time is simply doing triage. It's like battlefield medicine. You have a pop-up hospital that comes in, takes care of people.
Fahey says the Trump administration has approved 155 temporary employees, but the Weather Service has lost about 600 workers in recent months. The agency said it continues to meet its core mission. For NPR News, I'm Hannah Mersbach in Jackson, Wyoming.
The maker of the popular video game Fortnite is celebrating. After a nearly 5-year ban, Fortnite is now available again in Apple's App Store. NPR's Giles Snyder reports.
The return to the Apple App Store is a big win for Epic Games, a video game company behind Fortnite, which posted on social media that Fortnite is back and linking to the game's page in the App Store for iPhones and iPads. Epic Games launched Fortnite in 2017. It quickly became wildly popular, but was removed from the App Store by Apple some 3 years later. The two have been locked in a legal battle ever since over the commission Apple charged for in-app purchases. Although Epic lost a claim that Apple was operating an illegal monopoly, a federal judge late last month found Apple in violation of a court order to ease control over in-app payments and allow for links to other payment options. Giles Snyder, NPR News.
The iconic Indianapolis 500 auto race is this weekend, but this Friday, the Speedway says it's hosting the Wienie 500. 6 of the famous Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles will race each other. Each Wienermobile will represent a different region of the U.S., and it will be styled on their local style of hot dog. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News.